Hi, I'm Minx88X and this is going to be my first knitting tutorial, introduction to knitting. Okay, the first thing you want to start with is knitting needles. Now, the best size of knitting needles to start with are 4mm. They look like this thick, which in comparison you can see to my finger, quite small. Now, knitting needles come in various different shapes, sizes, materials. I've got a pair here that are made of aluminium, which you can see they're quite long, and then I've also got a pair of 4mm needles made of bamboo that are in comparison quite short. So many different sizes, many different materials, many different sizes. There's also different types of needle in that you can get double pointed needles that look like this. They have a point on one end and they have a point on the other end. And they are for knitting things like sleeves, socks, basically knitting things in a round that are like tubes. Also, an alternative to this is the circular needle, where I don't know if you can see, but there's a clear plastic ring that attaches from one needle to the other needle. And you can pick knitting needles up fairly cheap. The best places in the UK to pick them up are places like charity shops. Quite often have a lot of knitting needles. I'm not sure about the US. Probably any good craft store would be fine. And also, the second thing to start with is different types of wool. Now, there are different types of wool in that you can have acrylic, which looks like this. Fairly cheap. I mean, this is a double knit, what's called a double knit, which is quite thin. Or you can have certain percentage wool, which looks like this. You can't really see much difference between wool and acrylic, I think, although other people may not agree with me. And then you've got wool such as silk, alpaca, more expensive but have a nice shine to them and a softer feel to them. There are also different widths of wool, like the different widths of knitting needles. As I said before, this is what's called a DK, double knit. You can see how thin that is. And this is called a chunky or aran. And you can see that's slightly thicker. You see the two compared here. I don't know if you can really see that on camera, but one is a half width of the other one. Okay, and in the next tutorial I'm going to teach you how to cast on. Thanks for watching.